So we can make a conclusions after understanding a little bit of trait theories of leaderships. So two conclusion we can make based on the traits theories of leaderships. First, traits can predict leaderships, especially regarding the emergence of the leaders, compared to distinguishing between effective and ineffective leaders. So the trait theories is important for predicting the emergence of the leaders, not between whether the leaders will become effective or ineffective. So research on trait also provide a basis for selecting the right people for leadership. So it's more of the selecting the right people for the leaderships. So another theories, apart from traits theories, another theories of leadership is behavioral theories. These imply more regarding whether we can train the people to become leaders. So previously we talked about traits is more of selecting the right people for the leaderships, but behavioral theories is more on training people to become a leaders. So based on the studies by Ohio State, found out that there are two behavior that are important for trainings to become individuals to become a leaders, or for most individuals, for most leadership behaviors. So there are two behaviors: initiating structures and considerations. So basically, initiating structures, leaders define the structures. That means leaders start the structures. They start the what they want to. They show the example. So they define and the structures of his or her role and those subordinates to facilitate goal attainment. So they provide the structure, they provide the guidelines. That what is meant by initiating structure. So initiating means initiates. So they start the structure themselves first before they ask the leaders to follow. So initiating structures, leader who have this kind of behavior, they initiate the structure, they initiate the behavior first. They provide the structure, they provide the guidelines, they facilitate actually what they want to achieve. So a leader hired in initiating structure is someone who assign the group members to particular tasks. So they provide the structure, then they assign the task to the members, and they expect workers to maintain definite standard of performance and emphasizing the meeting of deadline. So they are focusing more on providing the structures. That means they dictate what the followers need to do. So they basically provide the guideline, provide the ways how to achieve something that they want to achieve. Considerations, on the other hand, is referring to the leaders who develops their relationships based on the characteristics of mutual trust, respect for the employees' ideas, and regard for their feeling. So the first one, initiating structure, is where the leaders provide the guideline. They dictate how works need to be performed, how to achieve the goals. For example, considerations, they're focusing more on the relationships. They're focusing more on building trust between followers and leaders. They respect the leaders or followers ideas or employees ideas, and they also regard their feelings. So consideration is more of developing personal relationship with the followers or with the employees. So leader high in considerations help employees with personal problem. They also deal with the personal problems. It's also friendly and approachable, treat all employees as equal, and express appreciations and support. I believe this is what normally followers are looking for in their leaders. But sometimes when the followers are weak and do not know how to do things. For example, if the employees in the organizations, if they do not know how to do the task, if they have no ideas, initiating structures of the leaders is more effective compared to considerations. So globes There's central tenets and main limitations of behavioral theories. The Globe study suggests that there are international differences in preference for initiating structures and considerations. That means it's depend on the culture also. It's depend on the on context also, how whether it is to choose initiating structures or to choose considerations. So these globe studies found that leaders hide in considerations would success best in where culture did not favor one side or unilateral decision making. So for considerations, because they look they based on the mutual respects, they also look after the followers feeling, regards their feelings and respect them. So for the countries, especially for the organizations from certain cultures, maybe needs this more compared to initiating structures. For example, these high in considerations would best in cultures where they did not favor one side. So they also need in the culture where the informations or everything need to be given, whether good or bad. So leaders who are high in considerations, where everything's where the decision making need to be come from the leaders and also from followers. So these kind of leaders who have high in consideration is considered more effective compared to those who are highly in initiating structures. So leader high in initiating structures, they provide the guideline, they dictates how job need to be done. So these initiating structures of leaders will do best where in the countries or in the culture where they where need directions, or where non unilateral or in bilateral countries. So they can make decision in a relatively autocratic manner. So in the countries or in the culture where they have they consider need to be dictated, some cultures or some contexts, if they've been given chances to decide on something, maybe this actually will the decision will not be effective. So they have to use, the leader has to use their own ideas, that they have to dictate how things need to be done. So these kind of leaders normally consider heights in initiating structures. Those high in initiating structures also tend to make a decision in autocratic manners. That's mean in the dictatorship style, where they just give orders to others to just to follow their directions. That's what is said by initiating structures. So summary of the relation of the between trait theories and behavioral theories. So leaders who have certain traits and who display culturally appropriate considerations and structuring behaviors do appear to be more effective. So it depends on the culture also. Trait and behavior do not guarantee success. Context matters too. So it's not just traits and behavior that can guarantee success. It's also in context. For example, I mentioned in certain culture, they need to be regard their opinions. They also need to share. They do not like the leaders just to give direction, but they also need to ask the followers or the people about their opinions. And certain culture, they just the leaders need to dictate what to do, so they use autocratic manner in the leadership style in administrating or managing their countries or their organizations. So another theory is a contingency theory of leadership, is by Fiedler contingency model. Effective group performance depend on the proper mesh between leader style of interacting with the subordinates and degree to which situation give control to the leaders. So Fiedler contingency based on the mesh between the leader style and also the situations that give control to the leaders. So it's basically it depend on the followers' readiness or about the leaders, maybe decision making or whatever control that the situation give to the leaders. So first step in Fiedler contingency model is identifying the leadership style, because in Fiedler it depend on the proper mesh between leader style with the control with the situation. So it start with the first step is identifying the style of the leaders, of the leadership style. So the key factor in the leadership success is the individual leaders basics leadership style. So they come up with this questionnaire asking the followers or asking the subordinates in the organization. They ask the subordinates. If we talk about the countries, we talk about the followers. So based on the Fiedler contingency theory, in order to know whether what kind of leadership style, what kind of situations they give questionnaire to the subordinates or to the followers to answer the question regarding which co-workers or which other subordinates or co-workers subordinates that they least preferred. So among all the subordinate or among all the co-workers, which one they least preferred to be their co-workers. That means the least they like to be their co-workers. So they come up with this task versus relationship orientation and assume leadership. They assume that the leadership, assuming that the leadership is fixed, so they come up with the task versus relationship orientations. So after assessing the leadership style, it is necessary to match the leader with the situation. So after they give this questionnaire, they assess the leadership style, and then they want to match the leader with the situations. So they come up with the three contingency or situational dimensions. So first need to define the situations. So contingency dimension consists the situation consists of three leadership member relationship. That means the relationship between leaders and members, and also the task structure based on their job assignments that be given, and the positions of power. That means the leader itself, the powers, whether the leaders have power in terms of hiring, firing, giving promotion, and so on. So leaderships between the relationship between leaders and members, leader and followers, in terms of confidence, trust, respect among members and leaders, and also task structure, whether the leaders give the followers the job assignments that are procedural or that means the structure or not structure, and whether the leaders have the power that's importance in terms of hiring and so on. So Fiedler come with this, as you can see, with these findings. First, they found out that task-oriented leaders tend to perform better in both extreme situations, that whether they are very favorable or unfavorable. So as you can see here, there are two task orientations and relationship orientations. Remember, they've been given a questionnaire to indicate which co-workers that they do not like to work with or they least preferred. So be in terms of task and versus relationship orientation, they give this questionnaire. So they found out that these two between task orientation and relationship orientations. So this dot line is belong to task orientation. This relationship orientation is the continuous line. So they found out that those task oriented leaders are good in terms of in extreme situations. They could perform better in extreme situations, either in favorable or unfavorable. So in both extreme mean in both extreme favorable or unfavorable. So 1 to 3 situations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this part is belong to moderate, and this part is belong to favorable. 1 to 3 is belong to favorable. 4, 5, 6 is belong to moderate, and 7, 8 is belong to unfavorable. So according to the finding, they found out that those who are leaders who belong to trade-oriented leaders tend to perform better on the extreme conditions, and relationship oriented leaders only perform better in the moderate situations.